Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Married to Wrestling. I'm here as always with your host, the lovely Angel Amoroso. How are you today?
Greetings. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm getting by. I'm looking at the lineup for WrestleCon.
Yes, very exciting. So we were talking about this earlier, and we decided to talk about this exciting event coming up, held by ISPW. Tommy Fierro is putting this huge event together, Wrestling Con 4. In you want to read the lineup is just unbelievable. This is like all the past stars of the 1980s WWF.
Well,
So
before I read it, before I read the lineup, I got to say you're going to be there. You are going
yeah,
to be
yeah.
hosting this show without me because nobody bought me a plane ticket. Um,
Well, I'll have you on Zoom. I'll have you on Zoom. I promise. I'll be guiding you through the entire event, table by table. Myself, I will be sitting with Dr. D. Dave Schultz. So if anyone wants to come around and sass me, they could get the shit slapped out of them. So that's pretty exciting. I'm a big Dave Schultz mark, always have been. So this is a very exciting event for me, other than just hosting the show there and just getting to see all the superstars of the 80s and 90s of the WWF. Then I get to sit next to Dave Schultz, which is going to have a slap booth, so you could come up and pay to get the shit slapped out of you by Dave Schultz. The honor and the pleasure is all his, and that presented to you by Mr. Big. He'll be hosting us there, and real excited about this lineup. Are you taking a look at this lineup, Corey?
I am, but I got to say, did you watch the David Schultz on Morton Downey Jr. clip I showed you?
Tell me about it. Tell everyone else about it.
David, and if you're listening to this special, you'll hear the audio, but David was really, this was very late 80s, I believe. So he was mid to late 80s. So he was protecting the business. And this guy's like exposing, saying, like, yeah, I had to do a blade job. And he's like, I do not know what you call a blade, but I hit you so hard, I'll make you bleed. And he didn't know what a booker was. He didn't know what a blade job was. So when you go back and watch it now, it's actually very humorous.
You have to understand, well, Dave Schultz, this guy was a bounty hunter, and then after he got blackballed, he went right back to being a bounty hunter. Really tough guy, in and out of the ring, and definitely a legend for his time and what he did, and just I love the guy, and I'm just like so excited to be sitting next to him, and we'll be filming the show there, and it'll be real exciting to go through the whole day and see the slap fest right in front of me and take place like he did to John Stossel. So talking about that, it's I don't know if you could post a picture of that there, that little slap
Slap,
that he
I
did to John
can.
Stossel, that lost his hearing and whatnot and sued him, and big events going on. So the event coming up is like I said, a cast of the WWF feuds, and there's a show later on at night where they're going to bring back some of the feuds, as I understand, in having some of the matches, and even during the fan fest part of it, they're going to have certain people's children there. That I think is a really original thing to do for a convention or an event, because you don't see much in originality, like convention. It's just like, oh, this one's here and that one's here, and it's everyone you actually know from the business because they're wrestlers. But Tommy Fierro comes up with an idea to bring the children of some of these wrestlers in the WWF, like Andre the Giant's daughter, and you know what? But let's get to it as we go through the list here of the different guests that are scheduled to appear at Wrestling Con 4 for ISPW. Do you have the list there, Corey?
I've got the I've
Your
got the
screen's freaking out
website
again.
up.
Your screen's freaking out again on my side, but
I'm
it looks,
sorry.
there it goes. It's good. It looked a little psychedelic, so it was cute.
Oh, I've got the website and I've also got the Facebook. Is it better to go through the pictures or through the website itself? What's the best way to go through this?
Well, I mean, if you go through the Facebook, you'll see each individual ad, and if you repeat one, we'll know about it.
Oh, I see a bunch. So let's start off. I'm just going to go in order. The first guest, a man who was, let's say, if my views are different than yours, we have opinions. A man who was a total douchebag to me, the Hitman Bret Hart.
All right. So, other than him being a douchebag to you, what's your feelings on Bret Hart as a wrestler?
Good. I can't say I've ever seen a Bret Hart match that stunk,
Mhm.
but I also don't think Bret. I think Bret's problem is Bret thought what he was doing was 100% real, but I think he took it too serious. I think the screw job is still a work to this day, but he was a talented wrestler. I thought Owen had 10 times the talent, though, to be honest with you.
Okay, great opinion. Who is number 2 on our list of
The
guests?
the Beverly Brothers.
Oh, okay. You can say whatever your opinion is of them individually.
I have no opinion of either one. They were kind of an afterthought. They were just kind of there and gone. Nothing bad to say about them, nothing good to say about them. Yeah.
I have many things to say about them. I think they're both huge pieces of garbage shit. And let's see how well I can contain myself while I have to be around these two huge pricks while I'm there at WrestlingCon 4. Moving on. Who's next?
Enos and Bloom are their names, correct?
Yes.
It
Yes.
shows you how much I know. I had to really think.
Yes, that's their names. They're two fucking scumbags. But moving on. Who's our next guest for WrestlingCon?
Steve Lombardi, aka the Brooklyn Brawler.
All right, Steve Lombardi. Any thoughts on Steve Lombardi?
I remember he was in a feud with the Red Rooster, and he was also Doink the Clown at one time. He was Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. He's kind of like the main jobber to the stars in WWE when I was a kid.
So Brooklyn Brawler, that's Abe Knuckleball Schwartz.
I think he was a couple times. I think they put him. I think if somebody didn't show up, they always put him in the gear.
I'll tell you what, this past Icons of Wrestling that I appeared on at the ECW arena, he was there, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, and he gave lots of attitude to my daughter while she was filming the event. So if I ever run into him, I don't care whose office ass he was, I'm going to smack the fucking shit out of him. But yes, moving on to our next guest for WrestleCon for Wrestling.
Demolition.
Problems with people. I have problems with people. I do, because some people are just fucking douchebags. They are. Like if they want to have sex with and assault children and whatnot, Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom, like maybe people should know about what a fucking prick you are. But I'm sorry, this is about WrestlingCon 4, not about my childhood. So moving on.
A team I remember from my childhood is at first I thought they were Road Warrior ripoffs. Then I actually started to think they were better. Axe and Smash, Demolition.
All right, yeah, I like Demolition. What are your thoughts on Demolition, other than being, what you perceived as a knockoff Road Warriors?
I thought they ended up being better. I really liked them, and I've always liked. I believe, catch a quote. Tell me if I'm wrong. Barry Darso was one of them. I don't know which one he was, but I remember when he was one of the Russians, and then he was the Repo Man, and then the Blacktop Bully. He's made a heck of a career in different gimmicks over his life.
Yeah, I think it was the Crush, actually. Axe Smash and Crush, was it at the time?
Yeah, there
Something
were
like
three
that.
of them for a while. I liked them. I thought they were a good team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that once people took them as a Road Warrior ripoff because of the face paint and whatever, but then once you really got to watch them in comparison, there's really no comparing the two. Like it was a totally different gimmick, and Demolition, even comparing the outfits, were I'm not sure who was in the wardrobe department at the time, but a little maybe kinky fetish stuff going on there, because Axe and Smash, it had, they wore harnesses pretty much, like, so much different than the Road Warriors, who were wearing spiked shoulder pads that looked like they were going to run people down, on their way to the ring. So
Yeah.
once you have to see the comparison of them, like, really different gimmick. And Demolition, really great guys, and still just look incredible in person. Like, it's like they haven't aged at all. They were just at the Wrestling Collector for a signing with Tommy Fierro, and he posted some pictures. These guys, just amazing. They're aging great, and I'm happy to see that they're still doing great. Great guys.
Up next, you have Dory Funk Jr. I thought he was dead.
Oh wow. Is it he's going to be there? Okay. Dory Funk.
Yeah.
What do you think about Dory Funk Jr.?
My knowledge of Dory Funk Jr. is low. I mean, of course, I knew Terry Funk. I only knew him, even though he was I just knew him as the guy that was with Terry Funk. I have no real recollection of Dory. I liked the Funks, but I was more of a Terry Funk guy, I guess.
Yes, me too. I'm a big Terry Funk mark, as everyone knows. So, and anything pretty much Funk, Marty Funk, and Dory Funk, and everything, all about it. So, yeah, he was there. So, we'll see him there, and that'll be great. Moving on.
The man I would love to meet, honestly, Harvey Whippleman, aka Downtown Bruno.
Okay, yeah. Harvey Whippleman was at the Icons, actually. And where Brooklyn Brawler is, and wherever Steve Lombardi is, Harvey Whippleman follows close behind. I think we all know about that. So if you see one book, then the other one's going to be there. He's a real good guy. When he has someone combing his hair for him and cleaning his fingernails, he cleans up very well, and he does his job the best he can. I think about my favorite time with my memories of him. I originally met him in Memphis in like 1988, when he was manager, and he came into breakfast with, like, his fingertips were all black because he dyed his hair without gloves on. Just a mess, but a really good guy. And then he moved on when he started working for the WWF. I think probably his best gimmick was managing Bertha Faye. I really enjoyed, if anything out of that era was him managing Bertha Faye with some of her matches against Medusa Michelli. Where
I won't lie. I would have had a lot of sex with Bertha Faye.
yeah, it would have been a lot, right?
She had to wear the polka dot outfit, but yeah, I would have let her tie me up with the boas and everything.
Oh, shit.
I have no shame in admitting this.
Rhonda Singh was hardcore before hardcore was hardcore. Seriously. It's like one of the big women in Japan at first, and just one of the originators. She's hot. Rhonda Singh was hot. Yeah, pretty
Passed
sure
away much too young.
Pretty sure she passed. Did she pass? She passed away. Right.
Yeah, some people think it was. Some people have said suicide, but I've never heard that.
Oh,
It's never been confirmed, I should say.
everyone goes to something, right? So, and on to our next guest with that somber little note about Rhonda Singh. Sorry to hear she's gone.
Dr. D. Dave Schultz.
Oh, yes. My companion for the convention, who will be sitting next to me, presented by Mr. Big. We will be holding a slapping booth for Mr. Dr. D. Dave Schultz, so that he could slap the shit out of anyone who pleases, or anyone who thinks that they want to sass me at any point during the event. Come on by and see me and Dr. D at our little table at WrestleCon 4. Yeah, Davey Schultz. So I'll be there with Dave Schultz. So a double, double your pleasure, double your fun. I'll whack you with the cane if you want.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I don't know if it's double your pleasure or double your fun, but your next is a double. It's the Killer Bees, B. Brian Blair, and was it Jumpin' Jim Bronzell.
Oh, okay, great. I mean, always great to have there. But let's rewind a little bit. Tell me some of your thoughts about Dr. D. Dave Schultz.
Schultz was kind of, I mean, when I started wrestling, he was already kind of on that range of being blackballed from Slap and Stossel. So I kind of only, I didn't really know a lot about. I learned more about him when he would do his talk show appearances, when he became a bounty hunter. Then I went back and watched old stuff. I liked him. He was kind of like the early Steve Austin. He was a redneck before redneck was cool. That was kind of the impression I got of him.
Right, right. Okay. So I love Dave Schultz, big marker Dave Schultz. So real excited to be there with him, and then bringing to you Married to Wrestling from the event while I am sitting next to Slapfest. So you'll get to witness that on an episode of Married to Wrestling. And then we had the Killer Bees. What's your opinion on the Killer Bees?
Two guys that wore masks. They did the old gimmick switch with the ref. Probably my least favorite tag team. Nothing personal against them. I never met them. They were an afterthought team to me. They were a jobber team that got WrestleManias. That's all I ever thought of them. Nothing personal. Just wasn't a big
Did you ever see any of their independent work where they had a female manager? I think her name was Honeybee or something like that.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, that was pretty good stuff. Their action figures sell for a lot. Like their merchandise is worth a lot. And some people are, really dedicated to the Killer Bees. So good for them. We'll see them.
I was a Midnight Express fan. I know you're not a Midnight Express fan. I was
No, it's not that I'm not. I was just a little bit too much of a fan. Yes, moving on to our next guest.
Next guest is Leilani Kai.
Okay.
I liked her. I liked her more than I like Wendy Richter. I mean, it was nothing. Once again, never met her. Nothing personal. I always thought she was fairly talented.
Okay. I ran into her at the big event, and I mean I worked shows with her and even booked her on a show that I ran in Lancaster here at one point, and she kind of pretended like she didn't know me. There was zero business at her table. And I could understand why she might have been a little aggravated because all these AEW people are sitting around her, but she just headlined WrestleMania, wrestling Medusa. So I guess the vendor there thought it was a good idea to bring in her and Judy Martin and sit them in a pit with a bunch of young girls around them, and like nobody knew who they were. So they had zero business there, and kind of understand why she was in a bad mood about it. I guess I would be pissed off too, but Leilani Kai was great and obviously a legend, according to WWF and WWE and the wrestling community. So bravo, Leilani Kai.
Up next is Mario Mancini.
Okay, what do you think of Mario?
I don't know who the fuck that is. I remember that name. He was a jobber, wasn't he?
Well, developmental talent. Let's just
okay.
talent, let's call them. So Mario Mancini. Okay, that's a good addition for variety.
Is he working the ticket booth?
Who's working the ticket booth?
Is Mario Mancini working the ticket booth, or has he actually got a table?
I would guess everyone announced has a table. So
okay.
Yes, part of the roster. I guess it doesn't really matter what level of the roster they were on. If they're still alive, that's a plus. So bravo, Mario Mancini will be there for you Mario Mancini fans.
Is he going to sweep up after the event?
Maybe. I will watch to find out. I will bring it live on live stream so that everyone could see the actions of Mario Mancini.
Next you have Magnum TA.
Oh, okay. I don't recall what years Magnum TA was in WWF.
He wasn't.
Okay.
You got a few people here that were never in WWF.
Okay, moving on. Maybe there was some other affiliation. Maybe you worked in the office or something, and we're not aware.
Manny Fernandez.
rolling back, what did you think of Magnum TA as a wrestler?
Oh, I liked him. I liked his feud with Nikita. I like when he was with Dusty. Is the only thing I Magnum TA is he was a good looking guy, and he never smiled. I always thought that was weird. He was like a baby face, but he always had a sour look about him. But I liked him. He made a belly to belly suplex look impressive.
I think he was going for like that smoldering look. You know what I mean? Like a sex symbol, like Magnum PI. He had the big fuzzy mustache and the curly hair. I think he was going for like, did you ever see Tom Selleck smile?
Oh yeah, he looked he looked like Tom Selleck on Juice.
Yeah. I think that's what he was going for in that way. And I think he pulled off not having to smile really, because he had the body and definitely the ability and the talent. Like, he was one of the biggest stars back then. And it's like, if that accident didn't happen, he would have continued to excel, but didn't let the accident bring him out of the business at all. Came back and then became one of the better announcers to watch back then, during a weekly show, because you missed him so much wrestling that just seeing him being an announcer was something to compensate you for what you thought you were missing, whether or not he was standing there with a limp arm and looking like you should give him some kind of sympathy. Like, he was working his ass off as an announcer and doing a great job at it. So he deserves to be any friggin' where he wants, as far as I'm concerned. And moving on, who do we have next?
The Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez.
Oh, yes. One of my good friends, Manny Fernandez. Gotta love Manny. Manny definitely, again, belongs anywhere he wants to be. What do you think about Manny Fernandez?
I kind of remember him. He was with Paul Jones for a while, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I remember the Raging Bull. What, didn't he also work in Texas with the Mon Erics?
For world class.
Yeah.
Actually, Manny's been all over the place. He's like like a very seasoned veteran. He's been everywhere and done everything. He'll probably be on this show pretty soon, actually, because I'd like to interview Manny. He's been visiting and giving updates on Terry Funk, because Terry Funk hasn't been doing so well lately. So try to get Manny before they're all going to disappear one day. So let's try to get them on here. But I'll definitely catch up with Manny at this event. One of my favorite people. I always thought he was it's just a great wrestler. And as far as like being a really decent human being. Oh, we were all terroristic back in our primes, but as a adult, he's a fantastic human being, and I'm happy that they're actually giving tribute to him and giving him lots of awards lately and everything. He definitely deserves to be there. Love Manny.
Up next we have Mr. Hughes, the
Oh
first
yeah.
class gentleman. I got to meet him on the barbed wire bike with Gary Wolf. He was nice as nice can be. And he still had the urn. I liked Mr. Hughes.
What do you think about his whole run? From beginning to now? Pretty unbelievable, right?
I mean, he was good. Yeah, I mean, and now he trains people. I mean, he trained Carl Gresham, the octopus. I mean, he knocked out the
Hero,
Undertaker, everything. He was the
right?
man.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable that he'd started at such a high position, and then in WCW, by the time he got through ranks, ECW, and I got to manage him. Of course, I managed Curtis Hughes and Shane Douglas, which was a great time. And now, so many years later, he got into such incredible shape. The man looks like he's aging backwards, and training all the up and coming stars for AEW and WWE. Like, he really got himself together, and just so happy to see that Curtis is doing so well. I mean, the guy used to be huge, and if you saw him now, you'd think he's like a seasoned bodybuilder. It's unbelievable the transformations that he's made in himself and in other people. It's just incredible, and he deserves to be a teacher and a trainer and in this business until his heart stops beating, because he's definitely probably the best person to learn from with the experience that he has in this business. So bravo. I'll see Curtis there. I can't wait.
Nikita Koloff is next. I thought that man was a Russian, for God's sakes. That's how convincing he was.
Really did a great job, right? And as a wrestler, what did you think of him as a wrestler?
Good stiff. Him and Magnum used to just beat the shit out of each other. I liked him.
Yes, always good for a pay-per-view. And there's some as one of the Russians, Ivan Koloff, of course, the original, who was just incredible, but teaming like him and Vladimir Petrov together and doing the 6-man when they had the 6-man titles and stuff like that, really exciting times for the NWA back then. And great feuds, always great feuds with Nikita Koloff, and always like a great Russian gimmick. He was one of the better ones, and really, like you said, pulled it off to the point where you really thought he was Russian, and not one of us. So cheers to Nikita Koloff. It's going to be great to see him.
The original Midnight Express. That would be Randy Rhoads and Dennis Condrey.
Yes. Okay. What did you think of them?
I think they should be cleaning the floor with Mario Mancini.
Actually,
I remember him. I mean, I like Midnight Express was Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. All I really remember about Randy Rhoads and Condrey was when Paul Heyman came in and they were the original Midnight Express.
Midnight Express in the NWA. They had
that lasted 2 months.
2 months, but still, they had very good matches while they were there. They were put in a pretty good program with the Midnight Express, and good storylines, and they were both good workers. I mean, I liked them. They were a great team for that era.
Up next, you have Papa Shango, aka the Godfather, aka Kama Mustafa, aka I think he was somebody else, but he was Papa Shango, which I thought was an awesome voodoo gimmick because I believe in voodoo.
Yes. He is a man of many faces. I Papa Shango works out great, of course, for everyone who's a fan of witchery and the dark and all of that. So he does that unbelievably. And then, as the Godfather, an even better job, and such versatility with the gimmick. Back in the day, it was always fun to see, his hoe train and, all the surprises that went into it, because back then it was like women were just starting to come into the business in droves. So to see girls who like maybe 2 out of 10 that were accompanying him to the ring were wrestlers, and the rest of them were just like models and strippers or whatever they could find at the last minute. But it was an interesting, like a carny sideshow kind of thing to see. And we recently caught up with him at the big event, and it's in one of the videos that my daughter did. And he did most of the day. He did half of the day as Papa Shango and the other half of the day as the Godfather. So when you get him at an event, he will change gimmicks in between time and give the fans both. He puts everything out on the table. He'll take the Papa Shango stuff off and put the Godfather stuff down. He's got a really good thing going, and definitely an interesting character. One of the most interesting characters, I thought, during that time, with his surroundings and both his ability. I thought he was tremendous.
He seems like a genuinely nice guy too.
Yes, he is. I believe so.
Up next is Paul Roma.
Okay. Yeah. Paul Roma will be at WrestleCon 4. Now, I thought Paul Roma was really useful for his time, and he got just as much TV time as anyone else, doing his job. And he deserves no less credit than anyone else. Bravo,
Worst
Paul.
horseman ever.
At least he got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him that. He was good shape. I can't say he looked like $1 million.
Great, always in great shape. He was also advertised for the big event. I didn't see him there, but you know, he's getting booked very often now. So good for Paul Roman.
Randy Hogan.
Okay. Is that like a Mulkey or something?
I don't know who the fuck he is. Looks like a knockoff of Hulk Hogan. Looks like a Mulkey. Actually, yeah, when you said that, yeah. Never
Okay.
heard of him, don't know him, no clue.
Okay. Well then we have no thoughts about him. Moving on. That was easy.
One of the head shrinkers, Samu, not to be confused with Fatu.
Okay. Well, I hope the other ones are there because they definitely did play a big role in the WWF, the
Nope, just Samu.
WWE. So just Samu for now,
Just
though.
Samu, yeah.
Okay, good enough. But they always it seemed to send like a representative per event. I know the last one was I think LA Smooth at the big event, and then at Icons they had Alpha Junior there. Well, what do you think about Samu as an individual wrestler? If you're looking at him, comparing him to all the other Samoans.
It's a dynasty. What did I know? A dynasty. I mean, you go all the way
Oh, no,
from
no. I don't mean the dynasty.
oh, just him himself.
Right. I mean,
I'd be
him as in
lying.
comparison to the people that he was wrestling around back in his time, like Samu, Fatu, you know, those people.
If I told you I knew the difference between Samu and Fatu, I'd be lying because they're damn near identical from what I can remember.
Tonka Kid, you have no idea the difference. Okay,
I
let's
liked him as a team. I
that.
liked the head shrinker team a lot. I just I couldn't differentiate one from the other, to be honest with you. They both had all the hair in the face and they were similar body. I had no clue who they were. Because I was
Okay.
a kid.
All the head shrinkers, I mean, they're Samoans, so they all pretty much, you know, they work the way they work and they fluctuate and having many members of their clan, so always a huge variety to choose from and a successful school going, so always supplying people, so always valuable. Bravo. From what I understand, I'm pretty sure Afa is related to one of the people from Ripley's Believe It or Not or something. I'm not sure. Let me research that before you let it out. But I heard that it won't. Moving on to our next guest for WrestleCon.
The alligator man, Skinner.
Oh, okay. It's nice to be seeing him getting some work. What did you think of his work?
I remember he was the guy that would chew tobacco and he would like get it in his beard and make his beard all nasty. And I mean, he wasn't around very long from what I recall in WWE. He was kind of a mid-card guy. I remember it seemed okay. It was back then though, there was a gimmick every week. So I think his gimmick was he was hunting alligators or something like that.
Right.
I remember it, but not vivid memories.
Exactly.
He was better than Outback Jack.
That's the next one, or is that
No,
just
I just didn't.
yeah, because
That's
they
all I
were
could think
kind
of.
of in and out sort of gimmicks, Outback Jack as well. Yes. Could we pause for a second? Christina, could you close the
Next is the Powers of Pain tag team.
Oh, wonderful. Good to see them back around. They as well, always tip-top shape, still look phenomenal, like they're aging backwards. What did you think of the Warlord and the Barbarian?
They were okay. They always feuded with the Road Warriors, and I was kind of a Road Warriors fan when I was a kid. So I always kind of just thought of them as like, to me, there was like Road Warriors, then Demolition, then the Powers of Pain, because they were all so similar. So they were a little lower down my list. They had good stuff in NWA though.
Right. So if you saw them now, again did a book signing. I'm sorry, not a book signing, a private signing for Tommy Fierro at the Wrestling Collector Store, and incredible. It's seriously, these guys obviously take great care of themselves and stay in shape, just look fantastic. I thought that they were, a great team. Again, a Paul Jones, managed team, I believe at one point. and just great throughout any role that they were in. And again, comparing them to the Road Warriors and Demolition, of course, anyone that wears face paint, you're going to try to put them in a category and compare all of them together. But I thought that they were, a team of the good ones. They were good. I liked them.
Up next is Wildfire, Tommy Rich.
All right. Always excited about the Wildfire. Definitely belongs there. His shit was fucking classic. Anywhere he went, he caused a stir. USWA, NWA, onto ECW, and just like and a different gimmick for ECW was like the most classic shit he ever did. Like I like Tommy Rich. I loved his color back in the day. He got the best color with the blonde hair. He would soak that blonde hair with blood. It was fucking beautiful. And Tommy Rich, one of the good ones. I'm glad to see that he's hanging in there, and also still looks pretty good regardless of the condition he might be in, which everyone's in at this age. But Tommy Rich still hanging in there strong. What'd you think of Tommy Rich back in the day?
Loved the interviews, loved him in ECW when he was with the Full-Blooded Italians.
Yes, absolutely. The best at cutting promos that you wanted to get. And, you say to, oh, well, if he's from down south, so all the people from down south know how to cut promos, but not necessarily true. But Tommy Rich was like an absolute natural in front of that camera, and just knew what to say, when to say it, and never even stumbled over a word from what I seen. And, definitely deserving to be amongst many for this fantastic epic event. I can't wait to see Tommy Rich. Yay.
Tony Atlas.
All right, Tony. Yeah, you know what? I might take Tony up on his offer and walk on his face a little bit and slug him a few times the way he always wants. Tony's a great guy. Tony's got big fetishes, back in the yeah, back in the 90s. We were going to do a video together. It's kind of like around when step aerobics made its peak, and he wanted it to be called Step on Me Aerobics video. And I was going to be stepping on his face, up and down over and over again for like an hour. I was really into it back then too, because, it was like, it's good for him exercise. I loved it. But it never formulated because he had a regular dominatrix that it did the stuff and didn't want to share and have me do it with him. But Tony, big giant fetishist, but has done a lot in his career and suffered lots of tragic stuff went on in his life, and just so happy that he's been able to get back on his feet and stay on his feet. He also has podcast places and always doing something. So always fun to see Tony. Always thought he was a great African-American worker, always in shape, always stuck to his gimmick, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, always in shape, always, again, a guy that looks great for his age, and just, great to still have him around and active. What'd you think of Tony Atlas as a overall?
I like Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. I think Saba Simba set back race relations 20 years, but that's no fault of his. That was a gimmick he was given that is very deplorable by today's standards.
Yes, by today's standards, the sensitivity would have probably blackballed him right out of the business. But
Vince McMahon gave him that gimmick, so you gotta do what the boss man tells you.
Right. Yeah.
No fault on him.
Do what they're told when they're given a job. So moving on, our next guest.
The lonely man, Virgil.
Oh, Virgil. I hope that Virgil makes it to this show, because Virgil has not been feeling well. He had some sort of a stroke, and he's not, really getting around or, moving around too good. And he's got problems from brain to mouth. So hopefully Virgil will make it out to this event. He's been booked on several different things leading up to this. So hopefully he'll be able to make it because he's having some health problems. So it might be the last time to catch up with Virgil and and have a good time with him. I always thought Virgil was extremely entertaining. Anything that he did, as far as like, you know, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase gimmick, and then the whole cross-dressing thing that he did was hysterical. And then, you know, moving on to the NWO gimmick and beyond, always like, you know, he always wants his money first, but you know, maybe he deserves it. He deserves it. He does, because anybody working deserves to get paid, and people make fun of him and everything because he's always like, oh, you know, I need my money. The man needs his money. Pay him his money. Virgil does his job, so fucking pay him. You're booking him. Don't make him leave empty-handed. Like in a lot of people's eyes, what, not the best worker in the world? By what standards? You know, he did what he was told, and he did his job. And all the stories about him swinging his dick around and everything like that, he'll tell you the stories firsthand. So it's not like, you know, he owns himself. And bravo to Virgil for owning himself. You know, what do you think about Virgil as a whole?
You know, truthfully, as Virgil
And
the
not as a
wrestler,
whole, as an entire.
as the wrestler Virgil, I cared less about him. It was nothing against him, but it was
Right.
after wrestling when he started uh, acting crazy, because I don't think he truly was. You know, when you see him selling stuff on the subway and talking about the Olive Garden and the meat sauce, when he became a good character, that's when I started to find a little more fascination with him.
Right. Sometimes when people just, you know, drop characters and start being themselves, they're a lot more entertaining than anything that Vince McMahon or anyone else could hand them as a character. This is what you're going to do. So Virgil, good for everything I think that he's worth, and can't wait to see him there at WrestlingCon 4.
Wendy Richter.
Oh, Wendy Richter. Wonderful. I'll get to catch up with a lady who might actually remember me, since I feuded with her back in the 90s for NWF and several different promotions throughout the Midwest. She probably taught me more about wrestling technically than any of my training ever did. In the ring, I think I learned more from her than and her and Sherry, of course. I probably learned more from Wendy than anyone. So, you know, always a legend, of course, in women's wrestling, and teaming with Cyndi Lauper, and, you know, having the women's title for, you know, that amount of time after Moolah had it for so long. Wendy, lots of different stories around Wendy, and I always appreciated her as a female wrestler before I got to work with her, and then while I was working with her, it just like it's so exciting, and just a learning experience all around. I think she's fantastic. Her size, her look, just her skill, everything she did was just like to perfection, you know. And if you couldn't learn from her, then there was seriously something wrong with you. And what's your opinion on Wendy?
I liked her. I always rooted for Moolah. I won't lie. There's something about Moolah I liked, but I always thought Wendy was pretty. And I thought if you go back and watch like videos of her now on the network, she was very ahead of her time.
Very much. Very much. I liked when she moved on to POW and Glow, some of the, you know, promotions afterwards, and she did feuds with Peggy Lee Leather and Terry Powers, which was, you know, then later Ivory. And the girls who were starting back then were some of the stuff that actually was some of the first hardcore in women's wrestling. They took it to it like you wouldn't believe. If you rewind back on that and watch some of it, you would just be amazed and in awe of what these women did back then, before, you know, even some of the men were doing it on mainstream TV. So I applaud Wendy Richter for everything she's been in this business, and someone who's actually deserving to be in the Hall of Fame as of more recent. So I'll be real excited to see her there.
Jerry Briscoe.
Okay. Jerry Briscoe, definitely, you know, a credit to professional wrestling itself. So, what's your opinions on Jerry?
I way before my time, I liked him as Mr. McMahon's stooge when he would, you want your coffee, Mr. McMahon. That's my memories of him, which I thought was very funny, wrestling wise, long before my time.
Well, of course,
And I'm old too, so that's saying something.
huge a huge credit to the business, and one of the main known Briscoes, always a guy in the office, and really made it possible for a lot of superstars to exist. So bravo, Mr. Briscoe. Moving on.
Typhoon, aka the Shockmaster, aka Tugboat,
All right.
aka a relative of Dusty Rhodes, I believe.
Yeah, can't wait. It wasn't he also the War Machine?
Yeah, he's had a bunch of gimmicks too. Big
That's
guy,
the War Machine. He fell
big
through
dude.
the fucking wall on a pay-per-view, which is probably one of the most famous things that we remember him from for that era of his time, but totally hysterical. I thought every gimmick after that also worked out really great for him. Like, for a big guy, he could move, and definitely served his purpose as what they wanted him to portray. So what did you think of a Typhoon Tugboat War Machine?
I liked him. I thought he was good. Like you said, for as big as he is, we moved great. I had I liked him.
Right. Great stuff. So I'm still just thinking about him falling through that wall, and it's like bringing me back. But okay, and then moving on, who do we have next?
Moving on is more to be announced soon.
Oh, okay. So more to be announced. There is actually a wrestling show attached to this that's going to be after the WrestleCon for event. So if you want to look that up,
Yep.
this event is based on the feuds of the 80s and 90s. They also have a portion there that I believe is announced people's children that are also going to be there.
For the Rock and Wrestling show, you've got Dirty Dango, who formerly Fandango, against Eugene.
Okay.
Carlito against Val Venus.
Oh, all right. Val Venus can work.
Davy Boy Smith Jr. versus Crowbar. Always liked Crowbar.
Oh. Was
Alpha Jr. versus Snitsky.
Okay.
Bull James with Maven.
I'm sorry. Have you seen Snitsky, by the way?
Not in a long time. Not since his WWE run in the
Wow,
late 90s,
man.
early 2000s.
I'll tell you what. You're not going to recognize this dude. He looks even better. Let's just say. I'm not going to ruin it for everyone, but Snitsky, he looks great. Go on. Who else?
Bull James will take on Rick Recon with Earl Hebner as the ref. In Bull James' corners, Maven, he will be handcuffed to Dave LaGuerra, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, probably, who's with Rick Recor. And it looks like Jay Alford from the New York Giants will be the enforcer.
Oh, okay. So a New York Giants football player there as an enforcer. That's something exciting for the show. They seem to incorporate a lot of MMA guys and football players and baseball players into these events, which is, I guess, it's great for variety. It's nice.
The Powers of Pain battle the Now.
Oh, okay. So then they are actually wrestling on the show. That's good to know. Bravo. I might say for the show. So who is Now, in case people don't know?
I have no idea. Two guys.
Okay. You don't know, so
I don't know them. I'm not in the Now or the No.
okay. And that's the end of the card, or
No, there's more. There's superstar Danny Morrison against Brian Kendrick.
okay.
Matt Stryker, a fantastic announcer in my opinion, against Justin Carino.
Matt Stryker, a fantastic everything, by the way. Announcer, wrestler, trainer, seminar holder. Matt Stryker is a man of many hats and wears each one of them perfectly, very well. Matt Stryker is someone to absolutely learn from, and good to see him around working again. Nice.
And
Steve
the
Carino
six
actually started with me in my TCW promotion. So, but right before ECW. So great to see that he's still around working, and his son is also working, and he's made such advancements in his career. Bravo, Steve Carino.
and the six-way women's match, this Vicious Vicky versus Adina Steele versus Riley Shepard versus Tina San Antonio versus Gabby Ortiz versus the Notorious
Mimi.
Mimi.
Notorious Mimi. She's got the fiery red hair. Cute. Yeah, these ladies work the circuits now, and all very, very good wrestlers. If you haven't seen any of them, check them out. This is part of an ISPW event at nighttime after the whole WrestleCon 4 event. And then there's also, during the meet and greet, there are meetings with children of the former WWF and WWF. Do you have that list there, Corey?
It'll be the sons or daughters, respectively, of Andre, the Earthquake, Big Boss Man, Nikolai
Wait a minute.
Volkov.
Andre, first off, Andre the Giant. That's
Be
the
his daughter, Lacey.
Okay,
No,
so
no, I'm sorry. Andre the Giant's daughter, Robin.
okay, Robin the Giant.
Big Boss Man's daughter, Lacey.
Okay. Lacey the boss girl.
Paul Orndorff's son, Travis.
Oh, okay.
The Bulldog's daughter, Georgia.
Cute.
Nikolai Volkov's son, Andrew.
Oh, nice.
And Earthquake's son, also named John.
Great. And my daughter, Christina Jade Paulus, will be there filming the event for Married to Wrestling. So my daughter will be there as well. So you all get to meet Christina Jade Paulus in person.
And they were supposed to do a Lifetime Achievement Award for Randy the Macho Man Savage, which I was sure they still do, but it was supposed to be accepted by Lanny Poffo, who passed away a short time ago. So I'm not sure who will accept now.
Well, I'm sure they'll make hopefully some kind of substitution for that, as it is very well deserved and should still be acknowledged during the event. So
let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Not at all. We're here.
I asked this question to Gary. Well, now let's see what you think. The rumor that the Macho Man, who made me cry as a child.
Yes. No. But go ahead. Ask anyway. But I'll answer you because I know what it is. Go on.
The reason they say he never came back to the WWE, was blackballed, is because he had sex with Stephanie McMahon. Now, if you think about it, Stephanie McMahon would have probably been around 15, 16 at the time. Do you
14.
believe that rumor?
14, actually. 14 years old. And from the rumor that I heard, now, none of us were there. So let's just put that where it is. However, think about the situation that Randy Savage was in to be asked to go out on a date with his daughter for her birthday. You know, I don't know. There's a lot of rumors that Sheen even knew about it because he used to go pick her up at the house, and it was well known. And it was by her demand, not by Randy Savage's, like, oh, well, I want to just hook up with your kid. It was because she wanted him, which doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make the situation any better. However, if you're Randy Savage and it's like, you know, why don't you take my daughter to go get some ice cream or whatever, or you're fired, then what would you do?
So so Vince asked Randy to take her out on a date?
Oh, no, I don't see. These are all rumors. Okay. Like I said, I wasn't there and neither was anyone else, but the rumors flew around for a very long time and stories were added to it. But the stories that were added, it always went back to seeming like it was sort of something that Stephanie was obsessive about. and as a spoiled teenager insisted upon it and wanted it, and she got whatever she wanted. So to leave Randy Savage out of the Hall of Fame for so long, think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was one of the biggest stars and one of the biggest draws on that entire show during that entire era. So when it comes time to tribute someone, how are you going to leave someone out and then not give an explanation of why? And if it's because he was messing around with your daughter, and like, maybe you should look inward towards yourself instead of blaming it on the guy when he's dead. You know what I mean? And he moved on, and he did all his WCW work and his Slim Jim and all the rapping, and he really stretched himself to do a lot of different positions after he was out of the WWF, WWE, and still hung strong until the very end. So his life wasn't ruined by it, but his legacy definitely has a stain on it because of the stories that were told. So,
and then like you said, rumors, like the late Lanny Pop always said, the only two people know, and one can't talk and the other ain't talking. So we'll never know unless Stephanie writes a tell-all book one day. And even then, how do you know it's true?
Right. But the thing about it is that whether or not it's true, it's not. I don't think it's something that, if everyone knew about it, why is the man being left out of the Hall of Fame? It's just like, it's disrespectful to him and the entire family. Actually, he comes from a long line of a big wrestling family. So to disgrace them like that is like, they should be ashamed of themselves for their behavior. So moving on. I can go on and on about this, but it infuriates me. So, and I brought it up many times in public, along with several others, that it's just like, why won't you include them? It just makes no sense at all.
I like, and when I was a kid, I loved Randy Savage. He was my hero. Him and Roddy Piper were my heroes. Then
I actually liked when he was in Memphis. His time in Memphis, like the origination of hardcore, like Randy Savage giving Ricky Morton a pile driver directly through a table, and like the broken neck angle and everything like that. That's where stuff started that you got to look back on. Randy Savage did a lot of other roles other than just his role as the king and Macho Man Randy Savage. Like, he took it beyond, and all that stuff he did in WCW was gold. It was all gold. Everyone he brought in, everyone around him, the whole NWO thing, and anything he did just turned to gold. So he deserves a lot more credit than I think he's given.
Made me want to shave a big bald spot in my head as a kid and talk in a raspy voice and take a shitload of Anavar. So I, was like all thinned out and veiny, but
Well, thank God you didn't take that route. Not exactly
that kind of happened on its own, but that's okay.
It would be like following Hulk Hogan and shaving your head like that, and being like, oh, I want to be like Hulk Hogan, shave my head and take some vitamins.
And when Hulk Hogan was in court for suing Gawker, and that's the only man in court that wears a do-rag and still looks damn good, because that's the Hulkster.
Are you allowed to wear that in court even? It's like,
he was.
These things I see, I'm like, do you even believe that it's real? Because any court of law is going to say, take that damn thing off your head. Seriously, we don't care how vain you are about your bald ass head. Take it off. Like, I don't know how real a majority of this is. Like, what's an emotional support do-rag? He needs it at all times. Like, what? I don't understand. But
I had the biggest crush on, I still think she's hot, Linda Hogan. Not his daughter, Linda. Linda Hogan was, she was, I liked her.
In her time. But, then she became a douchebag who decided to cover up the truth about the pedophiles that worked in her company, and then go beyond and defend those pedophiles, and then take the victims of those pedophiles and offer them ridiculous things like, oh, we'll send you back to school and try to get your life back on track and bullshit like that, and then later giving them trivial menial jobs on the independent circuit just to humiliate them, like
I think
she's a
are we
huge
talking about this? Are we talking about the same person?
Linda McMahon.
Oh no, I was talking about Linda Hogan,
Oh
Linda
shit.
Bolea,
Sorry. I thought we were
Linda
talking about
Bolea.
Linda McMahon. Well, I just let loose
I
about
would
Linda
go out
McMahon.
with
I
I
didn't
would
have
go out
to.
with Linda
But
McMahon too.
still
She's
so,
rich.
Corey, Linda McMahon, a huge piece of shit. But sorry, that wasn't the subject, but still leave it in, because I got my opinion about Linda McMahon, and that's it. Huge
What's your
piece of shit.
opinion of Linda Hogan?
Oh, Linda Hogan. I don't really know her. So I mean, I don't know,
I
actually.
like, and I've openly said this
Huge.
on the show with Gary. If I was gonna sit there when everybody says, "Oh, Triple H is he wanted Stephanie for the money," if I was gonna be in a hotel room planning something like that, it'd be Linda. That's the money. To hell with Stephanie. I'm going for the billions. Fuck the millions.
No, Linda, cute. Cute kids, cute family. Definitely cute. I don't know a whole lot about her, but definitely a good looking woman. Nice.
I liked Beulah. I mean, there we go. And I think we've covered Bertha Faye. So
Yes, of course, Bertha Faye is in there. See, I can't understand it, and I'm hoping in this lineup for WrestlingCon 4 that we're going to be seeing some more names floating around, like perhaps Medusa Michelli. And if we want to go back even farther, maybe Heidi Lee Morgan and a Misty Blue Sims, and people who were actually part of the earlier portion of the WWF WWE era. For Christ's sake, Heidi Lee Morgan was there when she was 19 years old as a bodybuilder in her first exhibition, and then went on to be the tag team champions, and then later on wrestled Alundra Blaze and Luna Vachon, and later feuds, and this is something that I think if there's a lot of people that need to be acknowledged and brought in for this, and even Jacqueline. I don't know, what have you ever seen Heidi Lee Morgan, by the way? Any of
Heidi
Heidi's?
Lee Morgan, yes.
Yes. So what did you think of Heidi as an overall?
She's okay. I always marked out more so for Sherry Martel. I liked Sherry Martel from the time I was a kid till now. So she was always the one that I kind of felt. Ivory was another one that I really liked.
Mhm.
And I have to give mad props to Jeannie Basone, aka Hollywood from Glow, one of the sweetest women I've ever met.
Yes. I don't believe she was ever in WWE, but a lot of the
Right out.
Glow, other than Bertha Faye, I believe was in Glow shortly. I don't believe any of the other Glow girls actually made it to the WWF, which I'm sorry, Ivory.
Ivory did, yeah.
Is the main that made it there. And I believe, let me remember her name, Terry.
A lot of them
Um,
had tryouts. I know Jeannie had a tryout, but she had a broken leg at the time. A lot of them had tryouts, but very big difference between what Glow did and what other women's wrestlers did, I should say.
Absolutely.
I liked Glow.
Yeah. But I think people like Ivory and Terry and Heidi and Misty, definitely some girls that should probably be thrown in there. I understand from what they're doing is a dedication to the past feuds. Like they have Wendy Richter and Leilani Kai there, that I don't know if they're wrestling each other. Do you see anything like that? Where they're just doing dedication matches to those feuds, but it'll be nice to see something in tribute to the old matches of the past that definitely need to be recognized in these days, now that people are just not wrestling move for move. It's more of a show of either killing each other with weapons and bleeding to death, or it's like wrestlers trying to create their own new moves and like it just all over the place. I don't know. So it'll be a show that is definitely bringing you back to your childhood and past and all the things that you remember about it, probably what got you interested in wrestling in the first place. So definitely an event to attend, WrestleCon 4. And this is in which part of New Jersey, Corey?
Just as I closed my screen,
Oh no.
it is in Morristown.
Okay, Morristown. And what is the name of the complex? It's very large, from what I understand.
Yes, let's see if it tells us here. It is returning to the Mennen, I might be saying that wrong, MENNEN, Sports Arena.
Menahan,
Mennen Sports Arena.
Menahan Sports Arena in New Jersey. Which part of New Jersey? Middletown, right?
Morristown. Morristown, New Jersey.
Morristown, New Jersey. So if you want information on that, you could go to, there's a Facebook page and also .com of WrestleCon 4 being held by ISPW Wrestling. And if you need tickets, of course, they have all the links and the addresses there to go purchase your tickets. So if you haven't already, go out there and try to get your tickets for WrestleCon 4, where you could see myself wrestling, sitting with Dr. D. Dave Schultz and hosting an episode of Married to Wrestling, where I will have Corey on Zoom with me, so he could be asking all the questions that hopefully won't get me slapped.
Yeah, they didn't give me a ticket, a hotel room. They didn't invite me, but
We're working on it.
This was all set up long before anyone knew who the hell I was. So
we're working on it, Corey. We're working on it. So
I'll be at WrestleCon 5.
Yes. So WrestleCon 5, Married to Wrestling, myself, the Queen of Hardcore, and my co-host Corey G will be covering WrestleCon 5. So wait for that. And let's see. Until then, I have another event coming up, which is pretty exciting, that I think we should cover on another show, actually, if you'd like to go over it. I'm very excited about this booking. It is for New Jersey HorrorCon, and it is bringing to you all the past HorrorCon horror movie film icons, along with me. Since I am the Queen of Hardcore, I will be hosting the event March 24th, 25th, and 26th, of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Showboat Hotel and Casino on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So please come out and meet me there. I will also be accompanied by Jason Knight, who will also have a show upcoming on Hardcore Graveyard here with us.
Starting next week.
Yes, starting next week, host Jason Knight and Nadia Steele will be hosting Hardcore Graveyard horror reviews. And we will also be bringing you an episode from New Jersey HorrorCon of horror reviews, and also an episode of Married to Wrestling. From
also
the
without me.
You'll be there on Zoom, Corey. I promise. You live
I'll be at the next one.
You will be at the next one. But I think that about wraps it up. And until the next time, for my co-host Corey G, I am the Queen of Hardcore, Angel Amoroso, saying have a good night and a good life.